with the whole AJ training situation, do you think we could see maybe too many cooks spoiling the broth?
Well, I think that might have been a problem. I think I don't think it's a case of just bringing in another trainer to an already big team. I think too much information, too many opinions is not always beneficial. I think he's got a great training team. I think he's got great people. But Rob McCracken's more than just a trainer. He's a mentor. He's a friend. But the trip to America wasn't necessarily an interviewing trip. I mean, I was in some of those meetings. There was no conversations about, do you think, it was talking about the fight. It was talking about their opinion of what AJ was doing right or wrong. And he has to come to terms with what he did wrong before he can put it right. I think the environment, is good for him in America. He's under a huge amount of pressure. He can't walk out of his house without getting jumped on, without getting selfies, questions. He was rolling around in San Diego just fresh. So nothing's decided. I think his next move is to go to America in a few weeks and do some proper training. Again, it wasn't like he did a little move around with Ronnie Shields, but he needs to spend time with those trainers. You can't sit down on a sofa and just have a chat and go, yeah, he's definitely the guy for me. And AJ's the kind of guy where he's got to be comfortable with his decision. But he's out there putting the work in, doing the research, and not sitting on his bum sulking.
What were you looking for in those meetings? What were you hoping to hear?
The most important thing, all I want and all I need is for him to be 100% confident and committed to what he has to do in the ring. That's it. So I didn't go there and say, he's your guy. He's got to think, I believe in this guy. Because he got the tactics wrong. He has to take some of that responsibility himself. He's the guy in there doing it. But so have people that didn't get him to change. Before the fight, in the fight, eventually it was too late. But at some point, you've got to say, no, and I'm sure things were said in the corner. And again, you've got to blame AJ as well. It's not just a case of, but you've got to have you've got to have the communication and the belief that when someone looks you in the eye and says, you have to do this now, that you do it. Rob McCracken, I can't say won him the Klitschko fight, but I'll tell you what, without Rob McCracken in the corner, AJ would never have won that fight. He sat him down at the end of the 5th round when he couldn't even stand up. When he come back from the corner after getting knocked down with a sledgehammer in the 6th round, and he looked him in the eye, and there's a complete trust in that relationship. Yeah? He still trusts Rob, but it wasn't right that night, and it's got to be put right, but he's got to be comfortable. So all I look for is for him to have energy, to have belief, and tactically he's got to be sound. It's not just a case of go in there and stick it on him. You don't just stick it on a pound for pound great and beat him, but he's got to add elements of what he's learned to the old AJ that was an all-out wrecking machine.
Did you perceive him bonding with anyone more than anyone else?
I think he got on really well with everyone. I don't think there was one meeting where he was saying, I don't like him, or I think, and it was just chats, Danny. But he loved the chats. We sat there with Eddie Reynoso in his palatial lounge in San Diego, and they talked about the entire fight. And he absolutely loved it. And the next day he went to the gym, and Canelo had him in the ring for half an hour, and they were going through stuff. He's like a sponge. He loves absorbing information and knowledge. Sometimes you take too much information from too many different people. So you need to just be completely comfortable with what you're doing. And the trip was really beneficial. And it also lit some hunger in him, as you saw from his interview with Coogan. He's hungry for it, which is exactly what we need.
If AJ loses, where can you go from here?
I just think, fighting for him, it's not like there's no definitive end or there's no, he just loves to fight. Back-to-back defeats are never good. Back-to-back defeats to a pound-for-pound number 2 is never the end of the world. And it's very difficult going into a rematch after losing with maybe a new trainer, and he's going to have to get everything spot on to win that rematch. I truly believe, with everything I'm hearing from him, with where he knows he went wrong, that he can win that rematch. If he doesn't, he's lost twice to one of the best fighters in the world. and he'll still have a huge career ahead of him. But you don't want to be losing twice.
Eddie, why is it now we're seeing a different side to AJ, where he's been so
It's
laid
not
back?
his different side. I just think it's how people talk about letting his guard down. Not really. That's AJ. But he has carried British boxing on his shoulders for the last 7 or 8 years. And by doing that, he's had to behave in a certain way. He's a role model, he's an ambassador, he's a really good guy. But every now and again, he'll get pissed off. And I think he's now at the stage where if he has to show it openly, he don't mind doing it. I think fans like it as a very positive, probably the most positive response to an interview I've seen from him for a long time. But that's him. It's not that he was, not being himself before. He was, but he was behaving in a way where he felt he had an obligation to behave in a certain way. I think it's good to see him show passion like that, and I think he needs to win this fight. You've got to be hungry, but you've got to have the fire in your belly. I want him to be pissed off. I want him to be angry, because he's going to have to fight angry in this fight, not fight happy.